Hey, before I start, I just want to clarify some things. This list was hard to make because when it comes to skill, a lot of killers don't really require that much. On top of that, a lot of the killers are extremely map dependent, so it's hard to set the killers in a definitive spot on this list. I'm gonna go based on other people's gameplay as well as my own, so please don't chew me out for this list. But with that out of the way, let's begin. Now, I won't doubt that I'm probably not the first to say this, but the Forest King is probably the least skilled killer in the game. I mean, take it from me, I main the Forest King, and even I can say that it takes no skill. All you gotta do is keep spawning your Lurking Facade ability and hunt down whoever it tracks. Even if a survivor has Stefano, which is the trophy that makes you run faster, you can just snipe them with the Blitz ability and injure them in 2 to 3 shots. With the Lurking Facade being able to track onto people automatically, go through walls, and obstruct vision, survivors have a hard time getting away from this killer without much effort being put in on the killer's end. On top of all this, just look at those stats. All it takes is 4 hits to kill a survivor, as well as the Forest King being 3 speeds slower than the survivor with the same stamina. I think it's fair to say that this killer gets to be the king of being easy to play. I'm just gonna say it. I hate this guy so much. Going up against him is an absolute nightmare, dude. Just look how I get folded in this clip. Pretty dang unfair to me. This dude has 8 sprint speed faster than a survivor. You literally can't run. His ability Found You does a stupid amount of damage. His jump does a stupid amount of damage. And why do his abilities add time to the timer? And can someone please explain his final act ability? Like, who's that stupid shadow figure that keeps beating me to a pulp before PCX even gets to me? It's not fair. Why does Sonic refresh all of his stamina when he takes someone to his world? And why doesn't he follow them? The PCX domain does a stupid amount of damage for no reason. And why does he just randomly spawn by the ring sometimes? Like, I genuinely don't know how that ability works. And I have him over level 30. The only reason he's earned his place above the Forest King on this list, in my opinion, is because he has a very fast draining 38 stamina. That's literally the only restriction he has from slamming the whole lobby instantly. I don't think I need to explain much here. He earns his spot in 14th because he's pretty unfair. He's 2 speeds slower than a survivor, he has the same amount of stamina as a survivor, he 3-shot survivors, his gobble bombs 3-shot survivors, and he shoots 3 of them in Frenzy, and he has a crazy range. He places above PCX and the Forest King because open maps and maps where you can make a quick turns counter him quite a bit. His Frenzy also exposes survivors for a little, and he has no faster way to make it to them other than running there. So the only real trouble you'll have while playing Wyst is making it to that player. But even then, that's not much of an issue in itself. Vita Mimic is just slightly more skillful than Wyst. He's the same speed and stamina as him, but he doesn't 3-shot everyone. His ability to go invisible is kinda crazy. You essentially need a flashlight to see him while he's invisible, but even then, his footsteps are completely silent. His ability to apply a bleed effect basically screws you over. The reason he's more skillful than Wyst is because he has less of an ability to spot survivors with his abilities, as well as doing slightly less damage than Wyst. Al Oni is so low on this list for 2 reasons alone. He does way too much damage for someone who had way too much stamina. You can make the excuse that he's kinda slow, but he's not that much slower than the survivors. So it's not that hard to stay on their trail, especially since the stamina drain while shapeshifted is so low. His ability to see everyone and gain stamina back simultaneously is ridiculously strong. He's really difficult to get away from and really easy to play. The Fogborn has some scary stats, to say the least. However, he's kind of reliant on his abilities to secure kills. While he can secure kills without using his abilities, you're gonna need the abilities if you want to lobby wipe efficiently. I mean, all you gotta do is use your ability Foggy Stare when someone is looking at you, and that's basically a free kill, because you're insanely fast for 9 seconds. like faster than PCX fast. On top of that, you can just thunder warp and catch survivors off guard. Being about as fast as the survivors makes it easy to secure that kill. Also, this is kind of irrelevant, but I played for 2.5 hours with my buddy yesterday, and we literally ran into one Fogborn for one match. Now we're getting into the killers that are really reliant on their abilities. Yes, the Forest King is extremely reliant on their abilities too, but all you gotta do is click for their ability to just do the work for you. As for a killer like Uncle Samsonite, you gotta use your dance to even have a chance of getting the survivors. With Uncle Samsonite, you gotta combine your abilities to make good plays and take out the survivors. I will say, even for how slow he is, 50 damage is absurd. That's a literal 2 shots. Combining his abilities with his lethal damage makes him fairly easy to play. Even when you take a survivor to your domain as Uncle Samsonite, you get infinite stamina, a slightly slower running speed than the survivor, and 0 damage fall off. So essentially, if you don't find that door to escape Uncle Samsonite's realm, you're basically dead. And the only reason Uncle Samsonite is so high up on this list is because he's so slow, which forces you to use your abilities to catch a survivor. Baldi's spot on this list was debatable because his infinite stamina wasn't helping him, but I think the fact that he's so slow in early game easily secures him 9th place. To get faster, you need survivors to touch your notebook or get kills. Getting kills is borderline impossible when the game starts, so you have to bait survivors into your notebooks. And for the notebooks to work well, you need pretty tight and close quarters maps so survivors can't go around them. Baldi's cassette tape is really good for him. It makes his ruler slap silent and it lets him see all the survivors on the map. And it has a pretty fair cooldown on it. As long as you can get a good early game and bait survivors into notebooks at the start, you can secure a great end game with your maxed out speed and infinite stamina. For a while, MX ruled over Pillar Chase as the best killer. Lee's skillful was always debatable with him, but I think he fits nicely at 8th on this tier list. The big thing that makes him take some skill is the fact that his stamina is so low and it drains so fast. But like, 70 damage? Yeah, no. Kinda crazy. He needs to rely on his abilities to get to a survivor because he simply isn't fast enough. No, he isn't slow, but he's just not fast enough to keep up. But both of his abilities can deal damage, and the jump can insta-kill. He's a really strong killer that packs a punch, but his low endurance forces you to play more strategically with your abilities. And I think that's why he fits perfectly at 8th on this tier list. He's kind of just a washed down Baldi. He's slower unless it's Baldi's early game and doesn't have infinite stamina, but he does do the same amount of damage. It's pretty hard to see his traps, but unlike Baldi's, EXE's traps can be destroyed, so you gotta place them in spots where they most likely won't be seen, while also putting them in a spot that's impactful. EXE's too slow ability is very situational and requires precision because missing it can be very detrimental to your plan. The traps are a hard carry in his kit, and to play him well, you gotta use his kit well. For being one of the starter characters, you'd think this guy would have his spot lower on the list, but solely because he has a speed of 18, I think this is why he deserves his spot on this list. He does, however, make up for his speed with damage because he hits for 80 damage. And majority of the time you're one-shot to him because that little head crab keeps chipping away at your ankles most of the time. The head crab, upon hitting someone, can set up a teleport for you, which is the biggest advantage you can get with this killer. So to win with this guy, you need some well-timed and placed teleports. Springtrap is kind of difficult to play because of his insanely slow base speed. Yes, he can speed up with all his abilities, but you still have to worry about stamina. The most detrimental part about Springtrap is that he doesn't regain stamina in his Phantom Step ability, so his endurance is a huge problem. That's not to downplay his insane damage output. I mean, his axe throw does 85 damage upon landing, and he gets faster without his axe. On top of all that, his ventilation air can help apply lots of pressure to help get the kill. If it weren't for his slow speed and mediocre stamina, he'd be lower on this list, but because of those, I think he fits nicely here. Fuwatti can be a very strong character, but I feel like he's very map dependent. His ability Silly Rush hard carries him, and for that to work out, you need maps without easy turns or good aim. The fact that his stamina drains with each attack makes it kind of hard to keep up. While yes, he can gain stamina with Oni vision, he can't attack during it like Out Oni can. His passive ability is good to catch up to survivors if they're near, but the odds of a survivor sticking around while you're chomping down on a survivor is kinda low. So that's why Fuwatti earns his spot here on the list. Rosemary is pretty hard to rank because literally no one uses them. And I mean no one. I haven't run into a Rosemary in a while, and when I do, the player is usually new to the game. But I think the only thing they really have going for them is their speed. They're one of the faster killers, and if you pair that with Demonic Streak, that can make a pretty good combo. But 48 stamina and 30 damage isn't doing them much justice. Their stamina drain can be reduced by Sightless Essence, which helps them out a lot. You really have to use their abilities as Rosemary to get an upper hand on the survivors, and without them, you're kinda hopeless. Inkfell is an insanely slow killer. He has the slowest speed in the game. However, his entire kit revolves around slowing down the survivors to catch them. His portals are big but loud, so catching someone off guard with them isn't going to work. You have to place the portals strategically and try to find a way to lure survivors into them. He has his Devil's Dive to help him get forward, but even if you manage to hit someone, 9 times out of 10 you're still too slow to catch him. Inkfell's Devil's Rage ability is extremely strong and deals a lot of damage. It also explodes portals that have survivors around it, which makes Devil's Rage pretty powerful because of how much damage it does. Inkfell can dish out a lot of damage and apply a lot of pressure, but you need to know what you're doing and how to place your portals if you want a chance at catching anybody. A big contrast from Inkfell. This kaiju is one of the fastest killers in the game. His speed is really great, but he has low damage and low stamina. Majority of the time, you're not going to be able to keep up without your abilities, and they don't have too generous of a cooldown. The Irritated Mist acts about the same as Inkfell's portals, but you can't teleport to them. They're big and loud and disappear after some time. His Godly Leap ability can help you close some distance, and if you land it, you can secure an easy kill. This killer isn't weak at all, but his kit is so complicated, and any open map can mess him up quite a bit. With his abilities needing to be strategically used and his stamina being so low, he without a doubt is the most skilled killer in the game. I really enjoyed making this video, and I plan to dish out more content like this, so if you want to see more, then why not hit the subscribe button? Also, leave in the comments what you want to see me do next, whether it's informational videos like this or just pure gameplay for the fun of it. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.